Thanks for being here to practice with me today. This week we've been talking about the nonlinear journey. And by journey here, we kind of mean the capital J journey. So this is either our yoga journey. This could also just be our life journey and self-discovery and our quest toward continuous progress in being the truest version of ourselves. So you can kind of interpret this journey idea or motif however feels most appropriate to you. But what I want to bring attention to in this journey is that we often have this idea that, we consistently get better and then eventually we reach our goal. And of course, with the goal of yoga being oneness with all things, sometimes that shows up in different ways. And we also have this thing that we do sometimes where we are working really hard on a particular aspect of our journey. And then either our situation changes, or like this past year has been full of situation changes with COVID, or our attention gets drawn by something else, or some other idea pops up that we have to focus our attention on. And so we have this idea that, oh, I've failed, I've like dropped the ball on my journey. And what I'd like to bring into our awareness is that something that my one of my pastors used to say at a church I used to attend. She used to always say, if God is everywhere and in all things and of all things and created all things, then there's really no possible destination besides that oneness. And so even in those moments where we kind of feel like we've like backslid or we've kind of fallen off of our journey, or we're not putting as much effort in, or something like that, I'd like to invite you to just reframe that in the yogic practice of Pratipaksha Bhavanam, which means to cultivate the opposite point of view, to embrace the idea that there is really no other destination. There is literally no possibility that we could end up any other place besides our goal, which is that oneness. Everything that we see as a setback or a detour or a diversion on our journey is actually in some ways facilitating or offering us a new way of realizing that oneness with all things. So we're going to do a little bit of strange, maybe non-yogic movement in our practice today. Some of you that have been with me a long time have done this practice with me before. We're going to do some slow mindful walking today. And normally we begin our practice seated in our comfortable seat and kind of settle and ground in this way. But in this case, today, I'd like for us to start at the back of the mat, facing the front of the mat. And just kind of ground in a standing Tadasana position. So as you, just like you would if you were seated, kind of use your feet, kind of move your weight around on your feet a little bit, sort of find a grounding and centered place there. Once you kind of got your toes pressing down and kind of feel really grounded, like your weight is balanced on both feet, just gently, sort of very subtly move the hips around a little bit. See if you can find a place where your knees are soft and your weight of your pelvis is kind of perfectly aligning with your legs and feet so that you feel really balanced and grounded. And once you've sort of established that base of support, then we'll begin to feel, so with a downward pull of our lower body, start to feel a little bit of a lift in the upper body. We almost want to feel as if the heart was a balloon and the string of the balloon is sort of tied to the tailbone. And we want to feel a sense of openness, sort of that expanded state like a balloon, but also that sense of floating a little bit more. While the bottom half of the body is really grounded and stable, we want to feel almost like a floating or fluid feeling in the upper body. And with that same fluidness, kind of softening the shoulders and just allowing gravity to pull the shoulders down. And then from above that floating balloon heart, see if you can just align the crown of the head right above the balloon of your heart and right above the string tied to your tailbone. And see if we can get that sense of alignment there in the body. I'd like to invite you to focus your attention on your breath here in this stillness. Focusing on that receiving abundantly of the breath that's flowing in. The transformation of oxygenation and life-giving qualities of that breath in your body, that transformation that's happening. And then as you exhale, that sense of release or offering or liberation that comes as we release our breath back out to the very space from which we breathed it in. And this is that abundant flow. It's always happening. It's programmed into our bodies to just function in this way. And when we use the breath as our best and closest, most intimate teacher, we can identify with that sense of flow in our lives, that progress that's always happening. We're always receiving, we're always transforming, and we're always offering or giving. And if your eyes are open, just kind of look straight ahead towards the top of the mat. Right now, we're in that you are here position. And we have our past behind us and all the lessons that we've learned. And then we have the path ahead of us, represented here by our yoga mat. And so what we're gonna do is just real quickly walk to the top of the mat, just like we always would. And here we are now. You are still here, now in a different place. And we're gonna start to fold forward over so that we're in a forward fold at the top of the mat. Softening the backs of the knees, staying grounded through the feet, relaxing the spine. Bending at the knees to plant the palms. And then stepping towards the back of the mat for downward facing dog. Now, since this is our first down dog, take a moment here to kind of stretch out the backs of the legs. We're gonna be doing quite a lot of this movement through our practice today. So start to wake up the backs of the legs. And then maybe find a pause where we have our hands reaching toward the future, the front of the path. We have our feet firmly planted in our past and our lessons that we've learned. And those two forces kind of pushing the tailbone upward. From here, we'll walk the hands back toward the feet at the back of the mat. Now we're in that forward fold at the back of the mat, softening again at the knees and the spine. And from here, we'll start to hinge up and let the arms swing out wide as we hinge, our hands coming together above your head. Exhale, bring your hands into your heart. Take a nice full breath in and out. So here we are here. And looking forward again, the path is still aligned straight in front of us. And this time we're gonna move on our path, but this time we're gonna move a little more mindfully. So you can relax your hands if you like, you can keep it at your heart if you want to. We're gonna shift our weight into the left foot in very, very slow motion. Start to draw the right heel away from the floor, the right midfoot away from the floor, and eventually the right big toe will leave the mat, and then we'll straighten the right leg. Balancing on that left foot. Drop your right heel to the mat, your right midfoot to the mat, and your right toes. Now we're shifting our weight into the right foot. The left heel slowly rises. The left midfoot rises. And again, eventually those left toes pick up off the mat and we'll straighten our left leg forward. Balancing on our right leg as we place the left heel, midfoot, and toes. When one of your feet gets toward the top of the mat, just continuing this slow sort of three-part walk, we'll bring left and right foot together so that we're standing at the top of the mat. And here we've made very slow, mindful progress toward the top of the mat. And as we do this, we are engaging in another yoga practice called svadhyaya, that self-awareness. We start to notice that when we move things a little bit more slowly and bring more of our attention to things, how our process works, where we're in and out of balance, what parts of us are strong, what parts of us might need a little bit more help. And now that we've arrived here, let's bow humbly to the path behind us. So taking that forward fold again, the top of the mat, softening through the knees, grounding through the feet, relaxing the spine. Humility. Now we're actually sort of looking back toward the back of the mat, remembering where we've come from. Bending at the knees enough to plant your palms. Let's step back again, downward facing dog. Again, feel free to take a little bit of movement here. But when you find stillness, find that opposing force at the hands at the top of the mat, the feet at the back of the mat, and our body, sort of the pelvis, representing our body in this current moment. We always carry the lessons we've learned, and most of those lessons do not come from the easy picnics of life, but from the harder challenges. And sometimes we have to let go of our progress to come back to a place that is familiar and get our bearings again. So let's walk the hands again back towards the back of the mat to find that forward fold at the back of your mat, still bowing humbly.
From this place, let's check in with our path. Let's rise halfway to a half lift on our inhale, looking forward to the top of the mat, and then exhale to fold again. Take a moment to establish that you are here. Take a moment to let the back of your heart fill up with gratitude for where we've been and the path that still lies ahead, keeping us engaged. And then we'll hinge up again, bringing the arms out wide, making that great big circle, gathering up all that we've learned, drawing it into our hearts as we exhale, taking a full breath in and out. Another way that we make progress on our path is sometimes we take a giant leap of faith and we try something new. So let's try that now. Let's send our weight into our right foot this time. Very slowly, let's peel that left heel, left midfoot, and eventually the left toes up and away from the mat. Draw your left knee up a little higher this time and then stretch out your left leg and then take a big step towards the top of the mat. Once you arrive, you might need to readjust your stance a little bit. Hips and heart should be facing forward. And just take a little moment here in this space where part of us is still in our past, part of us is moving forward on our path, and let's take a moment here to find gratitude and open up to the possibility. So gently drawing your chin upward, letting your shoulders fall back, lifting your heart. Hands can stay at heart center. They could also come to the sacrum or interlace fingers or grasp opposite elbows here. This is Stargazer pose. Opening us up to the infinite possibilities of the universe and looking not so much into that darkness and mystery and void, but looking for the light that is shining from all the stars, recognizing our place in this vastness. Take a few more breaths here just to kind of open up to it, soak it in. Then kind of leaving this rounded front body and compressed back body. On your next exhale, take a little bow over that left leg. Hands might support you here on your thigh. You might use your blocks here or rest on your shin, or if your body is able to come to the floor, you can also take that version of the shape. If you like, you can reverse the direction of your spine, drawing your chin into your chest. That humble bow, having taken this giant step forward. It was a little faster than our slow mindful walk. But we also had to readjust our balance. There's a little bit more involved in making it a seamless transition, shall we say. From here, we're gonna soften that left knee a little bit to start to shift our weight into the left foot. If you're using hands on the floor or on your blocks, maybe move them a little further forward on your mat. And then gently start to peel the right heel, midfoot, and toes away from the floor on the right side, lifting that right leg behind you. And just pause for a moment, see if you can keep your hips and shoulders somewhat level here. Feel the challenge of this next step. Sometimes we take a big step and then we have to recalibrate before we can take our next one. Then draw your right foot next to your left. Find that forward fold again, the top of your mat. Bowing humbly, looking back to our past, recognizing what we've learned. Bending at the knees enough to plant your palms. Step both feet towards the back of the mat, downward facing dog. Grasping toward the progress we're hoping for and firmly planted in the lessons we've learned in our past. Our tailbone again present in this moment. Our body remembers. And sometimes this non-linear progress involves us releasing our reach toward the future and coming back to that familiar basis where we can start again. So walking your hands again back towards the back of the mat, finding that forward fold at the back of your mat. Surrender through the knees and the spine. On an inhale, find that half lift and look forward on the path again, recognizing our goal. And exhale, release it as you come back into your forward fold. Sometimes the best way to make progress is to let go of any specific goals. Over your next few breaths, feel the back of your heart opening as you inhale. And as you exhale, just let go of expectations. Let go of deadlines. Let go of specific outcomes. And surrender. Find your humility. And from this next phase of our journey here, let's hinge up again, bringing arms out wide, gathering up all the wisdom and experience and knowledge. And as you exhale, drawing that into your heart center, letting it go, coming back to our baseline. You are once again here. Let's try that same fast-paced big step of faith by shifting our weight into the left foot. Slowly peel the right heel, the right midfoot, and the right toes. Draw the right knee as high as you comfortably can, balancing on that left leg. Extend the right leg forward. Take that great big step. And then adjust your feet so that you feel balanced, kind of recalibrating once we're in this new in-between space. Partly in the past, partly towards the future, but present in this current moment. We'll again lift our hearts and our chins to open, letting the shoulders fall back, choosing to either place your hands at your sacrum or interlace, some kind of way to keep the heart open, pausing in stargazer pose, acknowledging the infinite possibilities, all the open space in which we can move around, and those guide points are stars, which were historically used for navigation and still can be. And just acknowledging that the light is what guides us. It's not the darkness and the mystery, it's the light that guides us. Take a few breaths to breathe that in. Feel your heart swelling forward. Pondering your place in that vastness. And then keeping the same shape in the spine, release your hands and exhale to fold over that right leg. Again, maybe supporting yourself on your thigh or your shin, perhaps blocks or the floor here. Perhaps reversing that curve of the spine to look inward, chin coming in toward the chest. Notice where you feel sensations of expansion in the body. We normally call that stretch. I've often quoted, I don't remember who said it, but that yoga is not really about stretching, it's about making space. And so when we feel the muscles elongating, what we're really noticing is an expansion, an opening, an opportunity. Exhale to soften into that right knee. Perhaps the hands now come to the floor, or if they're on blocks, moving the blocks just a little further forward of your right foot. Nice and slow, peel that left heel, left midfoot, and left toes away from the floor. Pausing in our standing balance pose. This is part of that in-between period. We're no longer really in the past, but we haven't really fully arrived in our future self. When you feel ready to take that step, bring your left foot to meet your right and humbly fold forward again in our forward fold at the top of the mat. Ground and find steadiness through the feet. Soften and surrender through the neck, the spine, and the backs of the knees. Feel that now effortless elongation of the spine. We're not elongating through effort here, but just through surrender, through letting go. Bending at the knees enough to plant the palms. Just take a moment here to feel your hands and feet sort of reaching for that goal. And then let's take a step back with both feet towards the back of the mat. Again, finding downward facing dog. Feet in the past, hands reaching for the future, body in this present moment. Breathe here and just notice any sensations of expansion in the body. And letting go of the idea that progress is always linear and forward. Let's let go of our goals for a moment and start to walk our hands back to where we feel grounded in our feet so that we're back in that forward fold. Surrendering again to the knees, the spine. Feeling the back of the heart open as we breathe in. And feeling that sense of relief and surrender as we breathe out. Continuously practicing that cycle, that infinite abundant cycle of breath flowing in and out, becoming the vessel. On your next inhale, hinge up halfway, looking again towards the path ahead of us. Exhale and humbly surrender, letting go of deadlines, letting go of expectations, softening. Then let's gather up our wisdom again. Inhale and hinge, arms out wide, gathering all that wisdom, bringing your hands together, and then exhale, pull that into your heart center. Take a full breath in and out. Beautiful. We're gonna try a little trickier move this time. So we're gonna take another big step. So sending our weight again into the right foot, slowly peeling left heel, left midfoot, and left toes. We'll take another big leap of faith as we step towards the front of the mat, and then adjust our stance so that we feel balanced and steady here. Partly in the future, partly in our past, heart shining forward. Let's again open and lift. The chin rises, the heart rises, and arms can just drape back, or again, finding one of those binds behind your back or press against the low body. Offer your heart to the mystery. Let your eyes look upward to seek the light of the stars to guide our way through this vast mystery of life. On your next exhale, take a nice bow forward over that left leg, supporting yourself however feels most comfortable to you. Use a little effort to extend the spine long for at least a breath or two, and then perhaps we choose to fold a little deeper by bringing chin to chest and rounding the back of the spine. We've learned from our last big step on our path. We're gonna try to just enhance that a little bit, and if this is not a graceful move for you, just forgive yourself. Big changes in life are very rarely graceful. Bend into your left knee, start to shift your weight into that left foot. Maybe the hands come a little further forward on your blocks or on the mat. Gently peeling that right foot, heel, midfoot, and toes. Pausing in our little balancing shape. And what we're gonna try to do from here is draw the right knee to bend, drawing it under the body, and then seeing if we can rise or hinge up, bringing the right knee in front of us. Now this is hard. You'll probably feel that left foot wiggling quite a lot to maintain your balance. Once we're here, we can wrap hands around that right knee if you like. If you're near a wall, feel free to steady yourself. Just pause for a moment. We've taken a big step, we're ready to take that next one, but maybe we need to pause and recenter. So from here, we're gonna draw the right ankle onto the left thigh, just above the knee, and then gently bending into that left knee. We're gonna try to bend. Now, if you can come low enough that you can support yourself on blocks or floor here, feel free. You can also support yourself on your thighs. If it's comfortable, you can come into a deeper fold here as well. Now we'll feel some serious expansion in that right gluteal muscle and right outer hip. I'm just kind of feeling into that. If you need to take a little rise here to free up your right leg, rise up just enough to bring your right foot back to the floor to meet the left. We're back in our little forward fold. Grounding through the feet, bending at the knees to bring the hands to the floor, maybe just fingertips, and just pausing here for a moment to acknowledge our arrival in this moment. Some of the extras that we packed into our big step this time, having taken big steps before, we're now a little more equipped. Eventually bending at the knees to plant the palms, and then stepping both feet back, downward facing dog. Let's add a little something extra here as well. So first, feeling our hands reaching into the future, longing for that progress. Feet in the past, balanced on the lessons we've learned, lifting the tailbone high. On your next exhale, start to shift your weight onto your hands and shoulders a little more, finding a plank shape. If this is not comfortable for your body, you can just take a tabletop shape. The idea is to extend the crown of the head toward the front of the mat. See if you can keep your breath steady for another breath or so before releasing the whole front body down to the mat. Once you're here, soften entirely. Use this moment to release any tension in the body, any holding in the body. Feeling a sense of trust in the floor below us, that strong foundation. Once you feel your full body relax, on your next inhale, lift your heart away from the floor. Maybe the chin lifts just a little away from the chest. Keep extending the crown forward and upward here. Take a pause for a couple of breath cycles. See if you can keep your breath smooth. Feel the strengthening happening at the low back. Exhale, soften your body back down.
As you inhale, press up through tabletop shape, tucking both of your toes and pressing back again into downward facing dog. So non-linear, we were already here. Even in this step on our journey, we've already been in downward facing dog. And it's these guideposts of familiar positions in our flow, as well as a metaphor for that, familiar place in life, like, oh, here I am again. Once again, I'm here. Let's move back into familiar territory to start our next step by walking our hands again towards the back of your mat, taking your little fold, the back of the mat, softening through the neck, releasing the head, trying not to overthink, grounding and steady through the feet, softening through the knees, feeling the back of the heart open, gathering up all those lessons that we've learned. On your next inhale, look ahead towards the top of the mat, half lift. Exhale, humbly bow again. Beautiful. When you're ready, we'll hinge upward, gathering arms out wide again. We're gathering up all that knowledge that we've gleaned from this step in life, and hands to heart to integrate it into our lives. Full breath in and out. Now shifting our weight into our into the right foot, so we can start to slowly peel the left heel, left midfoot, left toes. Draw that left knee up a little high, and then extend your left heel as far toward the front of the mat as you can. Take that big step forward. And here we are again. Find your balance. Take a moment, lift your heart, lift your chin, let your shoulders fall back, find a comfortable place for your hands, and breathe in the mystery. Seek for the light. Open your heart to whatever lessons might come, no matter the situation or circumstance you find yourself in. Open up to it. Be in a state of awe and wonder. Be in a state of mystery, seeking that light to help you find your bearings. As you exhale, let's take that little bow over the left leg again. Supporting yourself again, however you find is most effective for you. Extend the crown of your head towards the top of the mat for at least one breath before dropping the chin to the chest, looking inside yourself, acknowledging that that teacher of our lessons is always within. It is that awareness within us that helps us to find it. Softly bending into that left knee, walking the hands forward a little bit. Let's lift the right leg away from the mat again, lifting high. Just take a moment here. We might stack the hips and come into a little bit more of a half moon shape. Maybe right arm comes out to the side or up high, if that feels comfortable for you. And then we'll step the right foot next to the left, right hand on the mat again, softly bowing, looking back into our past, seeing how far we've come, acknowledging our progress, but softening through the knees, the neck, feeling that effortless extension in the spine. Eventually stepping back to downward facing dog. A more familiar flow here. Walking hands toward the back of our mat, finding our forward fold, the back of the mat again. Surrendering. Looking back at where we've been, feeling our feet firmly planted in the now. You are here. On your next inhale, half lift and look forward towards the top of the mat. More path to cross. Exhale, humble yourself. Accept the lessons that you've learned. Accept the place that you are in this moment. Then starting to rise, hinging, scooping up all the lessons that we've learned and drawing them back into the heart center. Pause. Full breath in and out. Let's start to switch sides now, drawing our weight into the left foot, slowly peeling the right.
Right knee lifts a little higher. Eventually extending that right leg forward. Take a big step. And we've done this before, so we're less afraid of landing. Soften your everything towards the front, your heart, your gaze, and then lift, starting to look upward. So gaze lifts, chin lifts, shoulders fall back, heart is lifted, finding that position for your hands to relax in stargazer. Contemplating not the vast darkness which scares us, but the guiding lights of the stars and stargazer pose. Opening our hearts to whatever lessons may be available to us, offering ourselves fully to the process and fully to the journey. From here, we'll surrender, so keeping the heart forward, bowing over that right leg, finding support however you need, extending the crown of the head towards the goal at the top of the mat, before eventually tucking chin to chest, curling a little bit more over that right leg. Softening here. Noticing those sensations of expansion. Probably the back of the right leg feels it the most. And let's ease that a little bit by bending into the right knee, bringing your hands to the mat or to your blocks, and then moving a little forward of your right foot. Slowly peel left heel, left midfoot, left toes. Pausing for just a moment here. Perhaps here we stack the hips again, finding that little half moon shape, that place between full moon and new moon. A place we often find ourselves between our past and our future. Coming back down to the mat. Drawing the hips and shoulders level again. We're going to try that tricky move where we bend at the left knee, drawing it under the body, and seeing if we can just lift or hinge our way upward, drawing the left knee in front of the body. Pause here. Feel all that motion and adjustment happening in the right standing leg. Trust. And again, we'll find that little pigeon shape by crossing the left ankle now at the right thigh just above the knee, and then slowly bending into that left knee. Perhaps we support ourselves on our thighs. Perhaps we can come a little lower to blocks or the floor or some other support here. Feel the sensations of expansion, that left hip area. See if you can sit with the challenge and slight discomfort that we feel in expansion, before freeing your left leg to step next to the right and surrendering once again into your forward fold. Take a few moments here to let go and pause. And drawing the knees to bend enough to plant your palms. We have hands and feet at this top of the mat. We've made it to our goal again, and yet there's more path. So let's step back with the feet again. Downward facing dog. Hands in the future, reaching for that goal. Feet in the past, balanced on the lessons we've learned. Let's add that little something extra now that we've done this a time or two. On your next exhale, find either your plank pose or your tabletop shape, extending through effort now, the spine, so that the crown of the head is reaching away from the tailbone. See if you can be strong enough here to keep the breath smooth. Feel the effort in the shoulders and in the spine through that lengthening process. Exhale and release your whole front body down to the floor. And pause here for several breaths to let go of tension. It might be useful to kind of shake or rock the hips from side to side to release any tension there. Waiting for the moment of letting go. Trusting that the floor has us covered. We can just relax into it. We can rely on it. Our support system here. From this place of strength, on an inhale, lift your heart and align the crown of your head with your spine, reaching the crown forward and upward. Feeling that strengthening happening again at the low back. On an exhale, soften your body back down. Next inhale, we rise through our tabletop shape. And this time, rather than moving straight into downward facing dog, let's breathe into the back body, dropping chin to chest, cat shape in the spine. On your exhale, drop your hips backward towards your heels and pause in child's pose. Child's pose offers us a hybrid of some of the other poses that we've been working on in our journey today. We're in the center of the mat. We are here now. We have the letting go that we have in our forward folds and the surrender that we've had through the shoulders, that expansion through the back of the heart. We have that trust in the floor that we experience with our belly down on the mat. We also have the chin to chest to look inward here, practicing that svadhyaya practice. We often confuse other people's lives for what we see on social media, the highlight reel as it's called. We don't always see the struggles and the challenges that they face to arrive in those more scenic and picturesque points of view. Let's offer ourselves some grace for our challenges. Let's surrender to the journey and the wisdom that it brings us. Let's soften into it by letting go for the next few breaths, just to pause and release. When you're ready, we'll rise back up through our tabletop shape. Sometimes we have to try something completely different. So what we're going to do is send our knees out to one side, drawing our sitting bones down to the mat, and then swinging the legs out in front of us. So now we have soles of the feet on the floor ahead. Balancing on the sitting bones, kind of adjust your weight so you feel relaxed and your weight is there. Then let's bring a little effort again into the spine to draw the tailbone away from the crown, and that alignment of our crown, that floating balloon heart, and the tailbone. From here, we'll start to notice how even if we find a real stable position like this and we feel grounded, life has other plans. Life often rocks us around, so we're going to kind of rock our boats a little bit. So draw the chin into the chest, look inside yourself, notice when there's need for change, and then just let life take you. So we're going to relax back and kind of rock along the length of the spine a few times here. And this is life's circumstances that are outside of our control that move us around, and sometimes we fall victim to that. Next time you come to seated, drop your feet back to the floor, lengthen up your spine, and then very gently, we might either reach for the future and that goal, remembering where we were headed, or we might grasp underneath the backs of the thighs, keeping that long, flat, effortful spine. Gently peel the feet, toes, midfoot, and then heels away from the floor. Perhaps we hover just a little. Perhaps the shins come parallel to the floor. Perhaps we reach for the toes and extend long. So any of those versions can work well. Notice the effort of trying to maintain stillness. The truth is that even when we don't apply effort to our journey, there is still progress being made. Let yourself rest by bringing your feet back to the floor. Drop your anchor, so to speak. Find that steadiness. Pause in it. Continue to effortfully lengthen your spine. And then surrender. Let the boat rock again, drawing your spine back down to the floor, taking a few rocks back and forth along the length of the spine. Before pausing again, anchoring with the feet, lengthening up through the spine, slowly peel the toes, the midfoot, and then the heels away from the floor. Try to find that steady boat position. Maybe we're reaching forward for our goals. Maybe our feet are reaching in that direction. Maybe we're supporting ourselves by grasping underneath the thighs. But notice the effort. And once again, drop the feet down to the mat, anchoring your body. Drop your chin to your chest. Just kind of lean in toward the thighs or maybe between the thighs. Look within yourself. Recognize that after such effort to maintain stillness, we need a break. From here, keeping that same round spine, chin towards the chest, start to peel the back of your heart upward a little bit. Reach your hands forward towards the goal of the mat, even though chin is to chest. We're looking inward, but reaching forward. From here, very slowly as our mindful walk, we're gonna start to draw the spine down towards the mat. Sometimes the more we reach for that goal, the further away it seems. If this is challenging, you can also use your hands to support you as you roll down to a flat spine on the floor. And as your shoulders touch down, let go of responsibility. As your head touches down, let go of overthinking. Then finally relax your hands down to the floor, letting go of doing. Letting go of interacting or reaching, and just pause in stillness. Once again, letting the floor hold you. As you breathe in abundantly, as you breathe out generously, cultivate a sense of trust in the floor to support you. These are those moments of pause where things are effortless and just working, like our breath is working here. There's not a lot of effort involved, but we keep breathing in, we keep breathing out. We keep receiving nourishment, we keep generously supplying nourishment for other things like plants. Part of that abundant flowing process. Non-linear, but more circular, repetitive, familiar. Once again, though, life often has other plans for us. When we think we found a moment of rest, we find ourselves twisted into a new position. So draw the feet again away from the floor, lift the toes, the midfoot, and the heels, draw the knees into the chest. Maybe find some movement here, maybe circular, maybe side to side with the knees. Feel the different points of contact among the different areas of your sacrum. Then start to bring your hands either out wide into a T shape. Maybe we have that little cactus W type shape, or perhaps one hand rests in the other palm and the elbows are wide, creating a little diamond shape with the arms. Any of those motions that opens your heart is a good one. Make sure both shoulder blades feel planted into the ground. And then allow your knees to just fall to one side of your mat. You can choose which side comes first. We will practice our twist on both sides. Ensure that both shoulders are grounded. That might mean a little adjustment for you. And then soften. If you have brought blocks to your practice or some other support, they can go either between your knees or underneath your bottom knee. Then see how much letting go you can do here. This past year, as we've lived through COVID and the many changes to our lives and our situations that have come, we've had the opportunity to resist it or fight it, which is exhausting and not usually very productive. And some of us learned how to just allow these twists and turns in life, these plot twists, if you will, to give us an opportunity to surrender, to open. Notice how your body is teaching you that in this moment. Grounded through the shoulders, open through the heart, in a seemingly unnatural position in the body, and yet relaxed, letting go, supported by the floor, and at peace. These are the representations of the circumstances we did not choose for ourselves. And we always have choices when those circumstances arise to resist and fight and work our way out of it, or to soften, surrender, and allow it to flow through us. If you're sensitive to energy, you might feel how this has more spiral motion as the energy flows through your body. You might also just simply notice where the breath flows, which is different than when we were flat on our backs. Just be present with this letting go for a few more rounds of breath. Expect that whatever journey you are on in your life will have detours, plot twists. Imagine one of those road signs that says curves ahead. And just be present. Many times we are offered the exquisite gift of the universe to learn the lesson from both sides. So what we're gonna do now is, through a little effort, draw the knees back to center. Maybe readjust the spine as needed. Maybe find a little fluid motion in the sacrum again to explore different points of contact with the sacrum to the floor. And then finally, allow your knees to fall to the other side. Same adjustments apply, making sure both shoulders are grounded, perhaps using support between or under the bottom knee, and softening. Feeling this new plot twist. And even though it's the exact opposite, how familiar it feels. As we live longer, we play both roles, or as Joni Mitchell says, I've looked at love from both sides now. What other situations have you now seen from both sides? How has that helped you or shown you something new? How has that enlightened you? Or brought you closer to your goal of authenticity and oneness with all things? How has it developed your compassion? Surrender to this new plot twist. Open your heart to it. Relax any tension in the body, in the face, and in the breath. Just be present with that flow of abundance. Notice how the energy moves in your body in this twisted shape, or how the breath might be moving. What places have space now to receive? From where does your giving happen as you breathe out? Just be present and let the pose teach you. Listen for the signal of your body that you feel balanced to the other side, that you've learned the lesson from both sides now. And then start to draw your knees back to center, readjusting the spine as needed. And after all of this twisting and turning, these plot twists in the ocean of life kind of rocking us, let's drop our anchors again by bringing the soles of the feet back to the floor. Arms can stay as they are if you like, or if it's more stable for you, you can also bring your arms down alongside your body. This is the bridge pose that we're gonna take. We're gonna take just 3 lifts here. The first 2, we're gonna take just supporting ourselves. And if you like, on the 3rd longer hold, feel free to use a block or some other support for a supported bridge pose. So take a big full breath, receive from the universe, fill up your low belly with breath, and then as you exhale, press into the heels and lift the sacrum just a little ways off the floor. This is our first step. Just a little lift. See if you can keep your shoulders soft and relaxed. Notice which parts of you are engaged and which ones of those engagements actually supports this pose. And which ones are unnecessary and can be let go. One more breath in. Exhale, release your body slowly back down to the mat. Take a breath or 2 to rest and reset. Receiving fully now back into the low belly, breathing in fully, and then exhale to press into the heels again. This time we might lift a little higher. We're bringing with us the wisdom from our first pass in our bridge pose. See if we can engage just only where it is necessary to support the pose and to relax and surrender everywhere else. See if you can remain steady here for another breath or 2. Before exhaling to release fully back down to the mat. Our last round here, if you would like to use a support of some kind, make sure you have that within reach so you don't have to turn your head to grab your support. Then take a nice generous breath into that low belly one more time. Exhale, press into your heels. Lift to your capacity or lift to the level of your support. And pause. Engage only where necessary, and if you're using support, see if you can let go completely to this shape. The more we practice something, the more iterations or cycles we move through, the better we get at it, the more smoothly the experience flows. Often, if you're like me, you've made the same mistake many times in life, and each time it's easier to see what went wrong and easier to recover. Build a bridge from your past into your future, and then let go to it. Trust it. If you're supported, maybe take a few more breaths. If you're unsupported, come down as you feel ready. And as everyone returns now to the mat, removing support if you're using it, drawing your body back down, notice if there are any motions that your body is calling for. Maybe knees coming back into chest or head lifting away from the floor for just a moment. Maybe it's a little side to side motion or a happy baby pose, allowing us to just kind of open up, coming back to our original state of innocence and wonder, childlike, where everything is new, where we release our expectations. And then as you feel ready, as you've moved through any last motions that your body might require, start to find your way into rest and stillness. The Yoga Sutras and so many other Indian texts give us many different ways to drive this same point home, that all action that occurs in the world, all that exists, is part of that creator, that divine love that is the source of all things. As you settle into your stillness, let go to that. Imagine that the floor is that divine love, and you can just surrender fully to it and allow it to hold and support you. Our mantra today, Sarvanya Sarvakarta Cha Vyapakaha Parameshvara Sa Evaham Shaiva Dharma Iti Dardyak Chivo Bhavet. The Supreme Lord is all-knowing, all-doing, and all-pervading. Aligning myself with that reality, I become that. And as a result of contemplating this oneness, I become the divine. Another way of translating is there is a knower who experiences everything. There is a presence that is dancing everywhere. There is a lover who embraces us all. I am one with that light. I am one with that power. I am one with that love. Shaiva Dharma Iti Dardyak Shivo Bhavet.
Your journey is sacred. And while we may sometimes have a critical analysis of our journey, take this moment where you are resting, trusting, and letting go of all effort to just revel in the glory of knowing that no path can ever lead you anywhere whose destination is not that divine love and divine oneness. Feel your soft, open heart and learn to love every step of the journey, even the challenging ones, even the frustrating ones. Let go to it. As life twists and turns you, as it rocks your boat, remember that stillness within you. Knowing that we move forward, we move back, but always we are here now. Take a few more breaths just to settle in that peace. Let it consume you. Let it come into your bones, come into your breath. Remember the vastness of your true nature. And then slowly, very slowly, we'll transition from stillness into that outward reach. Maybe it's a long stretch on the mat, or maybe it's an outward stretch and more of an X or a V shape, opening up your hands, opening up your feet, moving them away from your body, embodying that openness, that stretch, that expansion that is ours to claim. And just as we do on every step of our journey, once you've stretched out, once you've sent yourself out into that wide world, draw the lessons and the compassion and the wisdom that you've gleaned from that. Draw it into your heart. Maybe the knees and the arms come into the chest. And then again, we remember to let go. So softly surrender to your side. Just pause there for a few rounds of breath, just integrating what we've learned today. And when you're ready, start to draw yourself back to a seated position. Just like we did when we're standing, we'll sort of establish that you are here by anchoring the pelvis, legs, and feet into the floor. And using just the smallest amount of effort to anchor through the tailbone, feel that expansion and floating feeling of the heart, and the crown of the head aligning just above that heart center. With joy and with gratitude, we'll swing the arms out again in that great big circle, gathering up everything that we've learned, hands coming together, and then drawing into the heart center. Take a little pause here. Let your chin come down to your chest. This posture is one of humility and bowing before. It is us acknowledging that light, the light of the stars that guides us in one another. It is also the posture of acknowledging that same light within ourselves. And so we close our practice with this humble prayer of service to that light, to that oneness. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy, healthy, safe, and free. Namaste.